Technology, sir?
Yes, sir.
And you hold numerous fundamental domestic and foreign patents in the fields of gene delivery. Is that true, too? And delivery formations and vaccines?
Yes, sir. And these include the 9 original patents, which have the first reduction to practice demonstrating an mRNA vaccine working using the AIDS GP120 protein.
And you invented the core mRNA vaccine technology platform, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, pretty impressive credentials. I can keep going on, and you spent most of your adult life working on vaccine development. Is that true?
Yes, sir. I'm not an anti-vaxxer.
You're not an anti-vaxxer. All right. First, let me get your thoughts. You go on Joe Rogan's show. You've been on my radio show. I pay attention to everybody. I have people on that I agree with, disagree with. You really impressed me with those credentials. Would we have the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, can you say with a certainty, if you didn't do the work you did?
That's pure speculation. I hope that we would have, but there's no question that the original concepts and reduction to practice happened in the late 80s and beginning of 1990s.
How do you feel? You've been dragged through the mud going on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I went back and watched it. And there are some things you say that are controversial, but I believe in freedom. I believe that people have to ask their own doctors. I gave my protocol. I'm not a doctor. But what is amazing to me is you did all of this, the vaccines that are so loved, and you're vilified. That surprise you?
I knew when I went on the Dark Horse podcast with Brett and Steve, I said some things, and we all knew that that was going to light things up and trigger a lot of people, and they did. I haven't stopped triggering people since, and I got fact-checked by the Daily Mail the other day over the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Pretty much everything I said that they fact-checked was right, and the ones that they said I got wrong, I actually refuted in a Substack article because they just hadn't done their research. So, yeah, it's controversial. I'm sorry if Matthias Desmet's mass formation hypothesis triggers you. I'm sorry, I don't apologize.
I'm glad to hear that.
It is...
You've done something amazing, and again, we follow the science, doctor, correct me if I'm wrong, only when it's convenient for political arguments, but this scientific breakthrough of yours is something that we should really champion, because for the people that love the vaccine so much, you should be right at the top of their list. My question to you is, you believe it's being overused. This is your opinion as a doctor, as someone that created this mRNA technology. What do you want to tell people that they can bring good questions to their doctors? Because in the end, they're going to have to make that decision with them. What questions would you advise them to be thinking about?
I believe that they really have to think hard about what their true risk is with this infection and this disease. For most people, their risk is a tiny fraction of a percent, and for children, it's virtually 0% for serious disease and death if they don't have major pre-existing conditions. And the core issue here is, if there's risk, there should be choice. I think that's what this comes down to for all of us, including the truckers, is not that people shouldn't have access to vaccines, but they should have the right to make a decision, and they should have full informed consent. That means that they should have full information on the risks. Now, Mr. Hannity, as you know, we have had a major data leak from whistleblowers from the Department of Defense, and I'm sorry to say that those data are strongly supporting the warnings that I've been giving now for the last year.
Let me ask you this. We saw a Johns Hopkins study, yesterday, that the lockdowns, draconian measures didn't work. Wow. Could government scientists and government bureaucrats, could they have gotten it more wrong? How did we run out of COVID tests at Christmas this year? How did we run out of monoclonal antibodies, which we've had for over a year now. How come we haven't ramped up production of antivirals? Do you have any answer for that?
No, I don't. I think that we really have to take a hard look at the entire Health and Human Services infrastructure. The failure is gross, really obscene. And this fact that the lockdowns would damage more than they would help has been known. There was a think tank analysis very similar to the Hopkins one that I posted on Twitter. It must be 9 months ago.
Dr. Malone, thank you for being with us. I'm sorry you've been attacked, and what you contributed to science, I hope people will appreciate. When we come back, all right, cancel culture, gone too far, even for AOC.